Welcome everyone to Already Cancelled. I am Peter, and joining me as always is Tara. We are going to talk about the Twilight Zone Season 3, Episode 12. It is called The Jungle. So, full spoilers for the episode, as always. This episode is about a businessman who is part of some sort of, was it hydropower plant or something they were building in Africa?
A dam.
There's a dam. But it's not set in Africa though, they're in New York. This is back at the headquarters, and it's all about the superstition because he believes that one of the witch doctors over there put a curse on him and anyone who was involved in the decision to make this go forward, because they were desecrating land that was sacred to the locals. So that is the gist of the episode. We'll talk about where it goes. I think when we heard the premise of this last week, we thought, this could be problematic. There's potential. Did you feel that at all?
It didn't. Not so much. I mean, there's still that whole like Hollywood fascination with like the cultures of Africa or like the Middle East or like Asian. You know, the mysticism of the other culture, but at least it points out the superstitions of our own culture. I actually thought the direction of this episode was pretty good, though.
I think it got... I don't think it completely steers clear of everything, because it still kind of uses the idea of it as the premise and the fear of it, but at the very least, one of the things I was worried about was the portrayal of such like characters and the idea of the witch doctor and all that. But because it's all happened off camera before the start of the episode, because it's all set in New York and it's just about the fear and the paranoia. I mean, you could argue that this entire episode is just his guilt. It's just his guilt manifesting. With maybe the very exception of the very ending, which doesn't seem to be any set. It seems to be that. Yeah,
I do think that this episode is effective in its creepiness, and I felt the tension really well. I like a lot about his like walk home when he chooses not to keep the talisman on him, and that whole segment I thought was really effectively like atmospheric and creepy. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I think that the second half of the episode is definitely the better half. I think the first half is a little bit... It's a bit weird. It's a bit mixed, I thought, because it felt like the main character here, Alan Richards. I mean, I'll take your word for IMDb. I don't really recall the name, but in the first half of the episode, we have basically three scenes. We have a scene where he's with his wife, and his wife's got a bunch of like superstitious objects that she's brought back from Africa to track because she's scared of the possible curses and whatnot, and she doesn't want him to leave the house. She doesn't want him to go and go to this meeting and go ahead with these plans. And he throws all of them on the fire, and he's very, very like, this is all silly. Get a hold of yourself, woman. He's very against the idea. But then the meeting with the other board members, it's like I'm watching 12 Angry Men, and he's the one guy who's saying, hey, we should take these superstitions seriously. This curse, like, I've seen people die over there. There was nothing wrong with them. And they're like, wait a minute, you were the asshole.
It could be disease.
You were the asshole in the last scene who was arguing against the superstitions and the curses.
I had to think it was because his wife sort of put it in his head that he's been thinking about it a lot now, and now like when everybody else is saying you're the one that's crazy for thinking this is real or could be real, he's like he's defending why he has a superstition now, and like is it crazy? Like, look at you've got a rabbit's foot. Look at you I don't know. Something I can't remember the other one.
I felt like I was getting slingshot around between the opening scene with his wife to the boardroom scene, and then the scene in the bar where he's with the one other guy, and the way he kind of like shrugs everything off. Because the ad break,
he throws away the lion's tooth. Like, hey, don't throw that away.
Well, I don't know if I got the impression that he did it intentionally, because the cliffhanger before the ad break is that he's realized he's left it in the bar, and he realizes, oh shit, my good luck charm, my protection, my amulet.
I thought he left it there on purpose.
But because the ad break, it clearly does like a dun 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 as he looks in the window and he sees it lying there on the counter. It's like oh no, my protection, because his car doesn't start or whatever. So he's like, I'm stranded. I can't get home. So he has to walk, and that's what the second half of the episode is. It's just, and honestly, it's kind of funny when you think about the second half of the episode. All it really is him walking, being nervous, and we hear noises of the jungle, and he's like hearing it and thinking he's going crazy. We never actually really see anything, or there's never actually any, tease of an animal or something. It's always just the noises, but it's actually quite effective despite that.
I think so too. Like, it's the talisman that his wife gives him for protection is a lion's tooth to protect him from lions, because Africa. So that's the one that he has on him. So he does hear like a lion constantly. He hears jungle noises, but it almost always follows up with a lion's roar. Once he gets to a certain point anyway. Like once he sees the lions like in the staircase. Statues of the lion.
Yeah, statues of the lion.
And then all of a sudden you keep hearing a lion like following him as well.
And he has to walk through a park to get to his house as well, which is, it's just like he's gone into the most jungle-esque area of the city.
Yeah, he's checking up in the trees because he hears a lion up there, and I think it is pretty effective in what it's trying to do.
It's effective purely because of direction. I think the script is only okay. Like I say, I don't know if the setup of it is that good, because I think the core idea, if it almost feels like it has to go with the gimmick of like, oh, there's been a curse placed on you, and that's like, I almost think if you just go with the idea of guilt, if you just go with the idea that he's feeling like, maybe he does feel guilty that they are taking people's homes away, that they are taking a bit of land that doesn't belong to them, and maybe that guilt manifests. That manifests in a way that he's feeling this fear going through the city. The idea that the jungle has followed him home. Bringing in the whole witch doctor thing is like, I mean, even just getting away from the potential, like, is it like insensitive from a culture thing? I've just never liked those plot devices. I've never really liked this.
Yeah, you
premise.
don't like. It's not too dissimilar from Drag Me to Hell, which is a movie I don't think you like.
Oh, no, I do not like that movie. movie.
The curse.
Hell, even anytime the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer had an episode that was more like this. It never had quite like this, but there was definitely some things like Tales from the Crypt had a couple episodes that was dealing with like cultures that they would have like a witch doctor or something.
Yeah, but I bet they showed the witch doctor.
Oh, they did. Yes, but there were always some of the shittiest episodes. I always
there's always
them.
somebody with a voodoo doll.
Yeah,
or a shaman.
Yeah, the only part that really sticks out here is they go a bit far where he walks past like a costume shop and there's like and it's not actually a man, it's clearly an actor standing still.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to be realistic, but there's like someone in like a tribal outfit, and I was like, okay, you know what?
With a spear.
That's a bit of a stretch. I mean, I guess it's cute, but it's a bit of a stretch. So
it's like the first episode where the mannequin was in a car for some reason. Why would there be a mannequin in the car, even in a mannequin shop?
I know, but see, that was great because that was like a surreal image, whereas this was like they were trying to pass off the idea that he was walking past a costume shop and this just happened to be the costume in the front. The mannequin in the car, and where is everybody, was just like a regular plain white mannequin. It was like, wait, this is such a weird image. Like it was almost like a David Lynch-esque nightmare visual.
Right.
It's supposed to be weird.
Guess that one also you can get away with because of the situation of what's happening in the episode.
Yeah, it's just not technically real, so you know, whatever. Whereas here it feels like, okay, this is a bit of a stretch, but I mean, like I say, the direction and suspense is good, and the ending is quite memorable just because when he gets home, there's a freaking lion in his bedroom that's murdered his wife and is, ready to jump at him. That's kind of the ending, is that the lion sort of comes past the camera. And
it's a real lion.
It's like, yeah. Notably, in the shot with the lion, he's not in the same shot at the same time. It's cut between.
No, and it's definitely a doll person in the bed. It's supposed to be his wife.
So, I mean, I almost want to believe that they just found out they could get a lion for an episode, so we need to write a script about a lion that ends with a lion somehow. Right, I'll leave it with me.
I mean, they used to use lions all the time for like TV shows. There's like a Gilligan's Island episode that had a lion in it, and it is just one of those things where we have a circus lion that's good in movies. Let's just use it.
So, It's not a great episode. I do think that there's some really positive qualities to it, though. Just on a base suspense and like direction level. I enjoy the sequence where he tries to pay the homeless man to walk him home, just so that he's not alone.
Yeah. And the homeless man just like disappears, right?
He basically Batmans out the scene.
Yeah.
Which
he also gets in a cab, and the cab driver just dies.
yeah, or at least passes out. Yeah. Which I guess. Open. Which fair, but which I guess kind of honestly, I'd kind of forgotten about that scene, and now that I'm thinking about it, it kind of implies that all of this isn't real, because this doesn't make any sense unless the curse is just killing anyone who tries to help him. Or
I mean, he is in a ghost town, and seemingly in a large city. I mean, I know it's supposed to be like after 3 a.m. because they've been drinking all night, which I love. I told my wife I'd be out late, like 3 a.m. Jesus. But yeah, so I don't know, like there are some things that are happening that seem surreal. Like there's nobody else in the city at all. Like no one is out. It's a large city.
It's New York. I mean, they say it a few times that it's New York.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it's New York and nobody's out at 3 a.m. I don't believe that.
Yeah. Also, one of the things he brings up at the start when he's talking about their superstitions is that they're in a 40-story building that has no 13th floor.
Yeah. Oh, the guy also uses astrology to like determine his success or something. Yeah,
but what I was going to say is that that is not a thing here. Like I've been in tons of buildings with 13th floors. No one cares.
I never notice. I'll look.
Yeah.
I guess that's a thing. That's just sort of standard.
Yeah, I wonder. Yeah, I wonder if it is at any place in the UK. But I've certainly been in plenty of buildings with 13 floors. Like it's not. No one thinks about it. No one cares.
Have you gone to the 13th floor of a building?
Yeah.
That's labeled 13.
Yeah. Okay. I have been on the 13th floor.
I mean, technically, the 14th floor would be the 13th, but you just skip that number.
I believe that, well, maybe not always, but I believe that some buildings actually do sort of put in like a small, like technical 13th, just so they can officially say no, that there's no 13th. Like it goes to 14 because there's a thin little like crawl space between the two floors, just so it can count as 13. I don't know if that's like in every building that skips the number. Some might just skip the number, but I've definitely heard that.
Maybe.
But no, I've been on 30th floors. Maybe it's just that Americans are more superstitious than UK people. I don't know, but
yeah, we love our Jesus and our guns, so maybe
possible. So we have 13 floors but no guns. You have lots of guns and no 13 floors.
Yeah, we're practical here.
So. No, yeah, it's an okay episode. I don't have like a whole lot to really. I was like, I kind of, I got to the end of it. It's one of those episodes where I'm like, oh, you know what? It was solid enough at what it was doing. I have some things that I've complained about, or some things that just aren't to my taste, and I have some things that are kind of neat and kind of cool. But I don't feel really strongly about any of it. I don't feel strong about my complaints. I don't feel strong about my like, my appraisals. I just feel. It was fine.
Yeah, it was fine. I agree. Like, it's not. I don't think it was a bad episode. I don't think it was particularly distasteful for the subject matter.
Oh, it definitely could have been a lot worse. I mean, if nothing else, it could have been a lot worse.
And I thought the last half especially was actually quite good.
Yeah. I also think the actor did an okay job. I thought, because I mean, he has to sell the fear on his own, basically. Like,
right.
He's doing all that on his own, just walking through the streets and going through the park and all that stuff. Particularly right at the end when he gets to the window of the building, he's basically just like banging on the window like in fear, and he's holding his hands to his ears because he keeps hearing this drumming, this tribal drumming, and the jungle sounds. So I mean, I think he does a pretty decent job, given that he essentially just has to play pretend, which I guess that's what acting is, but
Yeah, but when you're acting against nothing.
Yeah. It's like usually at least actors get to play off other actors, or they get to play off something.
Right.
Even in a modern movie where they're doing CG, they'll have a tennis ball and a stick for the actor to look at, which may not be much, but it's something.
Right.
So, But yeah.
I did like that he asked his friend where he can get a dead goat in an hour.
Yeah, it's occurring to me. I don't think I remember Rod showing up at the end to tell me what was next.
It didn't happen on my end. I know that.
That's the first time it's not happened for me though. I don't remember it at all.
Well.
I remember. Interestingly, what I did notice though is it's usually at the very end on the Blu-rays, they keep the original ad for whatever they were promoting at the time, right? So a lot of season 1 had like
Cigarettes. Yeah.
No, not that. They had a lot of TV shows. There was always other shows on the network.
Oh, okay.
There was like other sitcoms. There was Steve McQueen in a cowboy show, something, like just stuff that I didn't really know. What was interesting though is at the very end here, the ad wasn't for a show. It was like a PSA about mental health. It was basically saying mental health is not something that should be critiqued. It's something we should understand better. And I was like, this feels very ahead of its time for 1962. What the hell? Like, I did not expect this showing up at the end of a 1960s
where's my
show.
Bonanza advertisement?
And I was like, oh. I don't know. I just think, I don't know. I guess in your head you think of, past decades being less considerate of these issues, but clearly at least some people,
somewhere.
yeah, some people were actually trying to speak up about them at the time. So yeah, I just thought it was interesting. But that's it.
I like that when Rod came out for the first one, he didn't have a tie on and his like shirt was unbuttoned. He looked very like lax. So maybe he's just taking a day off. He left early.
I wonder, because this is episode 13 and it aired in December. I wonder if this was the last one before Christmas and they didn't know which one was coming next yet because of the break, so they just couldn't do one at the end. They couldn't do a next time on.
Maybe, but that's just never happened before.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it's happened to the shows that I've watched because CBS just doesn't include them for some reason, but it's never happened to you on the Blu-rays.
No, not with the exception of the finale, where obviously they'll have the next one.
Yeah, season 1 finale, right?
Yeah. But luckily we have IMDb to tell us the next one. It's called Once Upon a Time. Janitor Woodrow Mulligan gets a trip from 1890 to 1962, courtesy of his employer's time helmet. His employer's time helmet. I thought I was going to say courtesy of a ticket in the Twilight Zone or something, something like that. But his employer's time helmet.
I don't recognize this one.
No, and the fact that I've read the description, I definitely don't remember Rod Serling mentioning any of this. But we do. Oh no, wait, no, he did come on. He did, because the only thing he talked about was the fact that Buster Keaton was going to be in it. Buster Keaton's in the next one, right? So he did come out and
that's
talk
very
about
cool.
this. Yeah, Joe, this is the thing. I was
Buster
like,
Keaton was alive at 62.
Clearly, yeah, because I went to the next episode on IMDb and I'm looking at the title and I'm like, I don't remember this at all, and the description didn't ring any bells. But now, yes, all he talked about was that next week's episode stars someone who typically was a clown, and Buster Keaton joins us for an episode, blah blah. So I take it back. There was a next time on.
Well, that's exciting. Hopefully, he does some dangerous stunts.
He looks pretty old in these images, so I'm going to assume that there's no dangerous stunts. Okay. But I mean, you never know. You never know. Maybe he'll mild dangerous stunt, perhaps.
All right. No walking in front of moving vehicles. Got it.
Probably a good idea. Yeah, he passed away in 1966 at the age of 70, so it gives you a bit of a timeline. So this is right near the end of his tenure on this planet.
Yeah, wasn't he like popular in the
20s,
early 20s?
Yeah. Yeah, he was a silent movie star. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll get that to look forward to next week. So maybe because we've definitely had people from the past coming to then present day in previous episodes. We've had that a couple of times now.
We've had twice at least that I could think of.
So I'm curious to see maybe what sort of comedy spin we'll get on it, since it is Buster Keaton that's presumably traveling through time. So we'll see. But there you go. That is this week's Twilight Zone. So let us know what you thought of the episode in the comments below. Please do like and subscribe and all that stuff. It helps us out a lot. Liking super important on YouTube. They factor into everything when they're promoting the channel and try to find those new viewers and all that sort of stuff. So please do that. You can support us financially though, can't you, Tara?
That's right. If you enjoy the reviews, please check out our Patreon page. It's patreon.com/mouthlesstv, and donating as low as $1 per month will get you access to bonus episodes for other shows we do, including The Ace, the Atomic Cinema Experiment, which is our science fiction movie review show. And if you donate $5 per month, you will get access to these Twilight Zone episodes 1 week early. Thank you very much.
Very good. So there you go. That's the Twilight Zone. Guys on
Sit
Twitter.
Sit back and relax now.
At mail_post channel updates. Thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV in the Twilight Zone.